Mulkey Senior Day will be honoring Angel and Hailey. They both do have the option to come back, but we'll open it up for questions for Coach Mulkey. Raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you.
Kim, I guess we can kind of start with those two. I know you can't make a decision for them, but what are some conversations that you would have with Angel and Hailey about that obviously that impending decision that they have to make in the coming weeks?
I don't know that I'll have a conversation with them. Angel said when she came here she'd stay 2 years, and Hailey said she'd stay 1. I'm just not the kind of coach to sit people down and influence them on what agents to pick or talk them out of what they want to do. They surely know they have the COVID year to come back, and they would be more than welcome. But I try to stay away from having any kind of influential conversation, particularly Angel and Hailey, because they made it perfectly clear when they came what they wanted to do.
Kim, you were there as a participant and a witness to what Baylor's new arena in Waco and the city being involved. Same thing being reported here. Difference is it'd be on-campus facility. What are the pros and cons of that, and what's the long road to finally breaking ground in your mind?
I'm all for facilities on campus. I read that yesterday, or should I say last night. I was recruiting at the state tournament, and someone sent it to me, and I read it, and I read it again, and sounds like the new way to go is it's not just going to be a basketball arena. It's going to be an entertainment type of arena. Selfishly, I just want it to be a basketball arena, but I would imagine financial decisions go into that, funds and how do you pay for it and all that. I don't know details. I know what I read in that article, and that's a positive that it's being discussed. I love that. But I'm also a realist. I may be on the beach retired or dead before they put a shovel in the ground. So until I see a shovel in the ground and I see how far down the road it is, I don't know that I'll get to coach in it. But what I do know is that that's a good thing, and that a lot of people down the road, whenever it does get completed, will enjoy it. It sounds like to me, how are you going to have 2 PMACs? Everybody keeps saying the new PMAC. Well, the old PMAC isn't going anywhere, and I can't imagine 2 buildings being called the PMAC. Did y'all catch that? Well, certainly. You got to move the track, maybe get a new natatorium, and I'm all for that. They need to do that quickly. Coach Schaefer deserves that, man. He has to compete against the Oregon and people like that have those great facilities. But it sounds like, from what I read in that article, PMAC is staying. So I don't know that it's a new PMAC. I don't know how you describe it, a new building, a new entertainment, probably somebody that's going to fund it or somebody corporate, I don't know. But it sounds like it's going to be a whole new arena.
I thought they would build a new one, then implode this one.
That's not the way I interpreted it.
Is there anything as part of that process that you really want them to focus on and really want, to see happen as part of that process?
Well, certainly I have my ideas and would love to have input, but I don't know that I will. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to have input, but I'm not an administrator. I'm not a fundraiser. I'm just a coach. But yeah, I would love to have an opinion, and I would imagine we will be asked our opinions. But I don't know that our opinions will override money or exactly what they're going to do with dressing rooms and availability. I want to practice in the facility every day, and that's my biggest concern. I want to be in there every day, and if you make it an entertainment deal, I think it's pretty obvious you're not going to be in there every day. But that's, I guess, the new wave of arenas are being built like this.
Do you imagine that some part of this impetus is the success y'all have had with this program? Do you find that gratifying?
So
Do you think what y'all have done here so far, drawing more fans and stuff, has maybe sped up the process? That this might happen.
I would hope so, Scott. I don't know if it's the fact that we've won and I'm speaking about it publicly, or just the fact that it's time. I just walk around here, it's time. And I don't know that we have that much power or pull, but maybe it's attention grabbing. Maybe it's a little bit of that. But whatever it is needed. It's needed.
Hey, Coach, getting back to the basketball, February's been a month of dominance for you guys. What's been different this month versus other months of the season?
I don't know that there's one thing I could tell you. I think just getting better by being on the floor every day with each other, practicing, correcting things, getting in the film room, experiencing the losses that make you just a little bit more hungry. Maybe for some of them it's a sense of urgency because this is winding down their college career. So it's probably a lot of things, but you get kind of excited as you think about the next month, March Madness. And so you kind of rejuvenate a little bit, but February's a grind. It's where you see a lot of the upsets take place on both men's and women's side. You see ugly games. So get through February and everybody kind of gets excited about March because that's when the Cinderellas come out and everybody gets to see all that on television.
Kim, I wanted to ask you about Anissa. She took a shot to the mouth. Just kind of, did you see what happened at all, or did she say anything to you, and how is she doing?
There are so many things that happen in the course of a game, and people will send it to me later, and I'm going, I'm at that game. I pretty much watch everything, but I never saw that. I saw blood on her lip when she came to a timeout and to a huddle, but you're so in the moment, you didn't ask what happened, and she continued to play. So I don't know what happened. That was the extent of that. But I've seen a lot of things since then, and I'm like, I didn't see that, but it was kind of funny to me, from trash talking to everything else. It's.
Did she play the rest of the game with a loose tooth? Is that
I don't know that. No one's ever told me her tooth's loose.
something on her Instagram?
Did she?
She was at the dentist yesterday.
See there, the trainer only tells. I'm on a need-to-know basis. I have learned from trainers. I will let you know when they don't need to play. I will let you know when, I didn't know that. That's the first I've heard of it.
You guys are coming off 3 games in 7 days, and you played early on Sunday, maybe builds in a little extra time, and you have 3 days off. How have you kind of managed this off time? Like you said, February's a grind.
The 3 games in 7 days was a concern for me, particularly when the first of the 3 was on the road. The second one was just tough game here, and then an early game on the road again. That was a concern, and Tennessee was coming off a bye week. Those things coaches think about. It's over. I'm very proud of what we accomplished. Gave them yesterday off, and today we'll get in the film room. This will be the first time that they hear about Georgia, and then we'll get on the floor. And then we'll leave and do more work when we get to Georgia, because now you got to turn around and play a 9 o'clock game East Coast time. That's 8 o'clock, obviously, here. And then you come back and you finish up, I think it's 1 o'clock Sunday. Now, we all know that's all TV, right? It's all TV. But we're helping grow the game. And you just have to be smart on how long you stay on the floor, keep their attention in the film room, but yet get your job done.
Coach, regarding Hailey and her transition positionally, what was the hardest part of that for her, and do you think that she's kind of figured that out by now?
Hailey may answer that question differently than me. I'm going to answer it through a coach's eyes. I don't ever think it's fair to ask a player to play more than one position. It's hard enough. And yet, we are asking her to play a new position and then in the middle of a game go over here and play your old position. So that makes her do a lot of things. Her mindset has to change offensively, but she also has to guard defensively different than she would if she was at the point. And that's why I've been so pleased, even when she thinks she's had a bad game, is I understand that position, and it's hard. What do I look at through the course of her learning? It's turnovers. Get us a shot. Just be able to make that first pass and get us into an offense. Defensively, unless you're shooting a layup, you're usually going to be the first one back in transition defense, and you got to be kind of like a center fielder. You got to direct traffic back there. Well, when you're not ever have never played that position before, you don't have to do that. You run, you get to the paint, you turn around and you find the open player or your man. Well, she's responsible for everybody that goes back. She's got to decide, do I stay with this post player till my teammate gets down here? Do we switch? Do I take this? There's just a lot of things thrown at you. I'm going to use this analogy. We're asking her to take over a position for Alexis Morris, right? Who's played the position her entire life. When Jaden Daniels got here his first year, was he even mentioned in the Heisman hopeful? A lot of people got frustrated with him because he didn't look at his second and third options, right? Then he comes back and he's a Heisman winner. That's what learning a position is about. We're asking her to do something now, in the now. She doesn't have next year. She doesn't have these players with her. She's moving on. And so I always try to make people understand you can get frustrated at players, but unless you've played the game and you've coached, you need to understand what's taking place out there. And she's played it since we started, and she's starting to just get a little bit smoother, a little bit more comfortable. And then all of a sudden, boom, Poa's got to play, so now I got to move her over here. Oh, Coach, now you're asking me to go over here. So visualize moving Daniels from the quarterback and go put him at wide receiver in the middle of a game. So that's a great analogy when I try to explain Hailey Van Lith's year. And I sure am glad we have her.
Are you finally satisfied with how they're playing defense overall?
I'm probably never satisfied. Am I able to recognize improvement? You bet. You bet. Correct me if I'm wrong. Part of defense is defensive rebounding. Did our perimeter players have 5 or more rebounds in that Tennessee game against a Tennessee team that's bigger than we are at all positions pretty much? That's improvement. Challenge them to get those kind of rebounds on the defensive end and complete the defensive possession, and I think we did, if you go look at the stats. Little things like that show me that they're buying in and they're understanding and they're focusing, and I like that.
What obviously the motivation every game is to win. What are there bigger motivations or bigger goals, or are you just focusing on every game? Because obviously the South Carolina's clinched the regular season title. You've pretty much got a double bye in the SEC tournament. Your NCAA seeding is looking good. I mean, what are the motivating things for your team right now, other than improving and trying to win each game, if anything?
Well, you want to finish second in the league, obviously. You wanted to win the league, but you're not going to. So make sure you're on solid ground in that you don't have to depend on anybody else in order to finish second. And then we flush that. We sit in that locker room and we go, okay, non-conference is over, conference is over. Now we're going to go to the SEC tournament. What are our goals in the SEC tournament? Well, first year, I don't think we won a game. Second year, we won a game. So maybe this year, we need to win 2 games. And if you win 2, you play in the championship. But that may or may not happen. But that would be what I would say is a realistic goal. And then after that, you sit on the 17th and you get the bracket. Whether you get to host or not, whether you have to go on the road. Obviously, you want to host. I would think the eye test would tell you you're one of the top 16 schools in the country. You got a lot of teams losing to unranked teams right now, and we're still winning. Our losses came earlier. So if you can host, then your goal is to win 2 games here. And that sends you to something that's very new in our game. You're either going to Portland or Albany. And there'll be a lot of teams at those sites. So I'll be curious to see how that pans out.
Kim, with Anissa's transition year, just now that you've gotten the majority of it behind you now, how would you just assess how she's come in and sort of adjusted to your system and to LSU? And were there any points maybe early on where you thought maybe she could do this for you guys, and there was maybe some shifts and adjustments that you guys as the coaching staff had to make?
Let me say this, and I think y'all have forgotten this. Anissa's an All-American. I haven't seen that in any of your articles. She was an All-American at DePaul. Well, she's still an All-American. That hadn't been voted on yet. So that's the way I view her. We are getting a transfer that was declared, second, third, I don't know what team you are, but you're an All-American. So you knew that kid was a baller. Now what you have to do is figure out where she is going to fit in and continue to be that All-American for us. Well, Samaya goes down, so that kind of eliminates, oh boy, the competition at that post position. And that young lady has won a heck of a lot of games for us, honestly, and it's sad to say, but I won't ever forget the Virginia game. We have to play with Samaya for the first time. She got hurt the game before. We don't have Angel. And it was crazy. I mean, she was all over the floor shooting this, rebounding this. She was unstoppable. And yet she's wanting to come to LSU to be a part of a team that can take her places that she had not experienced in college yet, to a round of the playoffs and a chance to play at the highest level. That told me about her priorities. She has been Player of the Year. She's won all these awards. She's done all this scoring. But you got to have a little unselfishness about you to want to do that as well. And I don't think there's a player that I've coached that's any more unselfish than Morrow. And yet she never changes her expression, good, bad. She's always down in a stance. She's always going to play hard, and that's practice as well. I can think of maybe 2 occasions where she got kind of down on herself in practice because she was just missing shots. But she never let it carry over into the game. Just a joy to coach. Her parents are both athletes, played at the highest level, and she's the real deal.
Got time for a couple more in here, guys.
You talked about Hailey the other day being aggressive in the fourth quarter. How important is it for her to continue to do that, down the stretch as we enter tournament play and stuff like that?
Well, certainly. It's good, it's important, but I don't know that a lot of teams are going to give her the opportunity that she got, like Tennessee. I thought Hailey just did some things offensively and defensively that she exposed Tennessee. Now, she may not get that if we have to play a team that's scouted her differently. Take what they give you. Take what they give you. Build upon it. And I'll say it again, while those points were so valuable, it was the 0 turnovers that was impressive to me as a coach.
Finish with Reed.
If Angel's, time here is in fact winding down, when you zoom out and you think about her decision to transfer here and the impact she made on the program, like not only on the court but also off the court, what does she mean, to you in accomplishing your goals for this program, and how did she help you get to that point?
Who has ever done that quickly? That would be my thought process. Kim, sit back at night and think about, with the NIL rules, the transfer portal rules, and all of these things that are going on that are great for women's basketball, and in particular LSU. Who's done it in a year? Right? Who has ever done that their first year in college? Well, what did they do? Well, she won a national championship. She's, y'all help me, whatever you call it on social media and NIL world and millionaire and all that stuff. Breaks Sylvia Fowles' record in her first year. The things that she did in 1 year are pretty impressive. Now, you've got players who have done it over the course of a career, to the second year or the third year or the fourth year. Now, she didn't do it by herself. She'll quickly tell you that. But the impact of what we did her first year here, I'd like for y'all to do some research. And again, she didn't do it by herself. This Angel will tell you, this isn't the Angel Reese show. She'll tell you that. Just look at the Tennessee game. One of the greatest things she ever did was she came to the huddle and she looked at her teammates and she said, y'all got to cover for me today. Y'all got to do it. I need help today. She knew she was missing shots. Who's got the I don't even call it the competitiveness. It's just recognizing that. And that's the part people don't see of Angel Reese.
All right, thank you, guys.
You know what they could call the arena, right?
What,
You know what they could call the arena, right?
what they could call it?
The King.
The KMAC?
Kim Mulkey.
Well, I ain't paying for it.